If I had truly grasped the insidious weight of the whispers that haunted me in room 404, I would have fled the hotel before I even crossed its threshold. Yet here I am, ensnared and unable to shake the feeling of those chilling voices lingering in my mind, clawing to escape. And trust me, you'll want to listen closely to what I have to say. I checked into the old hotel on a stormy night, the kind where the rain drummed against the windows with a ferocity that felt almost unnerving. Each drop seemed to echo the turmoil swirling inside me. I was on a solo trip, hoping to clear my head, to escape the chaotic tendrils of my life that clung to me like shadows. Standing at the reception desk, I had no inkling that the lady's smile contained secrets darker than the storm that raged outside. She handed me the key to room 404, a small bronze circle embossed with the number that would haunt me for years to come. In the beginning, it appeared to be any other hotel room. The floral wallpaper, though faded, exuded a strange charm. The bed was neatly made, the sheets stiff yet crisply inviting. I dropped my bag on the floor and inhaled deeply, reminding myself of the peace and reflection I sought. But that peace crumbled like the dry leaves swept away by the autumn wind. The first night was quiet, or at least as quiet as a night in a strange place could hope to be. Yet, an unsettling chill crept into the air, clinging to my skin as if the very walls were holding their breath, waiting for something dreadful to unfold. I shrugged it off, convincing myself it was merely the remnants of the storm, or perhaps an overactive imagination working overtime. But then, I heard it. A soft, almost imperceptible knock echoed from the bathroom. A noise so faint I could scarcely believe it. Initially, I dismissed it as the plumbing's lament. Old pipes often creak and groan like weary souls lost in time. Yet, as the night wore on, the sounds grew more intentional, more deliberate. The hotel, despite its quaint exterior, seemed to awaken, as if it had an existence of its own, harboring stories that longed to be told. Shadows danced beneath the flickering light, twisting and spiraling, and my heart raced as I turned to look at them, only to find nothing but emptiness looming in the corner of my eye. On the second night, curiosity gripped me, compelling me to document the experience, to capture evidence of whatever phantom presence was orchestrating this eerie performance. I retrieved my phone, and the moment the screen illuminated with a blue glow, the air thickened, pressing down like an unwanted weight on my shoulders. I remember setting the phone on the bedside table, its light casting a vulnerable glow across the room. Then, something extraordinary unfolded. I heard a voice, clear, chilling, and unmistakable. It whispered my name, Tom. The sound slithered down my spine like ice, paralyzing me with terror. It was a haunting pull, a siren's call that drew me to the bathroom door. Before rational thought could take hold, I found myself standing in front of it, the soft sound of my pulse thrumming loudly in my ears. My heart raced as I reached for the handle, but a primal instinct halted my movement. I stumbled backward onto the bed, the taste of fear constricting my throat. I shook my head violently, trying to convince myself I was simply fatigued, but the gnawing unease churned in my gut, growing more insistent as the knocks resumed, stronger, more demanding this time. It felt as though the room itself was shifting, merging with my thoughts, feeding off my escalating dread until it reached a crescendo. I pulled the sheets around me, as if they could ward off the malevolent weight coiling tighter around my body, its grip unyielding and oppressive. On the third night, the sensation of being watched became almost palpable, enveloping me like a suffocating shroud. Even in the shadows, I felt their gaze, lurking behind the partially open closet door, hiding within the walls. In desperation, I flipped through the channels on the small TV, seeking some semblance of normalcy. But there was nothing normal about room 404. My eyes fell upon a dark stain on the carpet near the bed. It was small, just a few inches wide, but its darkness seemed to pulsate, drawing my attention like a moth to flame. Each time I glanced down, it felt as if the stain grew, morphing and twisting, as if thorns were clawing their way through the fibers. I fought the urge to scrub at it, instead focusing my gaze on the flickering television screen, offering distorted images that failed to distract me. But when I dared to look back, the stain had deepened, growing almost vibrant in its hue. I recall pulling down the curtains, hoping to block out the oppressive night, yet the sensation of being observed intensified, becoming a heavy weight pushing down on my chest. My phone's battery drained rapidly, the screen flickering warnings that felt wholly personal, as if the device itself had begun to resent me. The shadows loomed larger, their forms taking on a more defined shape. A cold chill ran down my spine, and every hair on my arms stood upright, protesting the reality of something terribly wrong in that room. Then came the fourth night, a night fraught with trepidation. I wasn't sure how much longer I could bravely endure another evening in that accursed room. My gut twisted, urging my body to flee, yet sheer curiosity held me in place like iron chains. I remember stepping cautiously into the bathroom. The mirror was spotless, its surface reflecting my fear-stricken face, but an invisible force compelled me to look closer. No sooner had I leaned in than I caught a flicker of movement behind me, not in the reflection, but in the real world. I turned, heart racing, yet nothing was there, just empty space thick, with an air so oppressive it felt suffocating. I backed out, my heart throbbing in my chest, and before long, I surrendered to sleep, cocooned in a blanket of anxiety. That's when it happened. I awakened to the sound of laughter. It danced through my fragmented dreams, reaching into the darkest corners of my waking life. It was a child's laughter, light and hollow, bubbling with an ethereal quality that mocked the heavy silence of the hotel. When I finally mustered the courage to push myself out of bed, it was nearly morning. I had made plans to leave, yet my legs felt bound to the floor, paralyzed by an inexplicable weight. With each heartbeat echoing through the room, I approached the door, hand trembling as it hovered over the doorknob. Just then, my breath caught in my throat as I glanced back into the room. "Tom!" The voice returned, clearer this time, wrapping around me in chilling familiarity. It sounded like 1,000 whispered lullabies layered atop one another, stirring memories I could not fully comprehend. The cold brush of air snaked around my ankles, inviting me further into a realm I never wished to enter. Panic surged through me, igniting my senses in a desperate scramble for escape. I bolted for the exit. With each frantic step, the laughter morphed into cries, desperate, haunting, heartbreakingly pained. It struck me then, just what had I unleashed upon myself. I stumbled into the lobby, my chest heaving, desperate to escape that room. And that's when I saw her. The old lady behind the reception desk, her face pale, lips curling into a knowing smile that sent a shiver down my spine. "Did you enjoy your stay in room 404? She asked, her voice steady, echoing through my still-churning insides. As I hurriedly gathered my belongings, I couldn't shake the feeling that she had been watching me the entire time, that she knew far more than I could ever hope to comprehend. When I took a last, lingering glance at the hotel, words crashed into my mind. Room 404 had its secrets, and I had only just begun to scratch the surface. I thought I had left it all behind, but even now, I feel it trailing behind me, those whispers in the dark. So if you ever find yourself drawn to a hotel with a room 404, think twice before stepping inside, because there are things that watch from the shadows, just waiting for a chance to be heard. If you've sensed that feeling too, perhaps somewhere deep inside, you already understand. Join the Dark Witness. Now it's time to explore, but be careful what you invite in.